of time, and we are recording this, so we'll make it available to people, and they can take hold of the recording. Thank you everybody for resuming after yesterday, which was really lengthy and full of vibrant panels and discussions, and I certainly again learnt from the sessions that I could attend. I had to zoom off and do parenting duties for a while as well. But thank you all for coming. We're going to kick off today with a keynote by Vidhya, who is a very close family friend of ours, and someone we hold very dear to us within our family. Vidhya, along with her husband Ashut, who I think I can see Ashut's name on screen, is probably listening in, founded an organisation called Agrigami in the 1980s. And it's an NGO that works for the most poorest and deprived areas in Orissa. And it's a beautiful part of India, and it's really vibrant in its landscape and its culture and in its communities there. Their vision for Agrigami was to promote tribal development. It's really focused on tribal communities there, but also to eradicate hunger and injustice that they were seeing and that was prolific in that area. I would really urge you to look at their website. It's astonishing to see the breadth of the work that they do and the communities that they work with. And just to give you a real small snippet of some of their achievements is that they've helped to educate over 15,000 children, particularly developing some level of fluency in reading and writing, and which has led them to pursue careers in government jobs and other sectors as well. And these are often children that are the first of their family to become literate and to attend school. So an incredible achievement in its own right. And I'm sure Vidhya will give us a little bit more information about some of that work that they've done there. The other initiatives of Agrigami are numerous, but they really do support women's development and empowerment, which is the real focus of our conference here today. And they have had a real focus on girls' education as well, eco-village initiatives, and a range of advocacy programs, which helps tribal communities understand their access to rights and their access to resources as well. That's about Agrigami, which Vidhya has founded with her husband. But Vidhya is a force of nature and a powerhouse in her own right. She's an educationalist who has tirelessly campaigned and worked for the rights and the empowerment of the most disadvantaged tribal communities across India, but particularly in Orissa. She's also spearheaded really innovative programs and created skills and leadership programs that focus on women's empowerment in particular. And if that wasn't enough, she's also an agriculturalist who has experimented with organic farming and sustainable livelihoods. And I have it on very good authority from my husband that she grows the best coffee, and I can't wait to get some of that. I believe there's some coming home to me at some point. So it's a vibrant character that we have with us today. She's also published and written a lot about her work and has spoken against some people that don't like hearing sometimes what Vidhya is saying, because it is a truth about protecting the rights and campaigning for the rights of those people that need it. Vidhya has very kindly joined us today and is going to be speaking about women and education in particular, with that emphasis on climate change. And with further ado, without me nattering anymore, I'm going to hand over to Vidhya. Vidhya, I don't know if you've got any slides or anything that you wish to share, but if you do, then Maya will give you host facility so you can do that. But Vidhya, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sunita, for this wonderful introduction. I hope I'll be able to live up to it. I do have slides, a PowerPoint, which I put together. Shall I just share it?
Yes, please do. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. It is sharing.
Yeah. Is it visible to everybody?
It is video. It's visible. Yeah.
There's nothing blocking it, I hope.
It's visible video. We can see the slides.
Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we work in Orissa, as Sunita said, and we work in the tribal areas of Orissa. And this is a map of where we work. And I will try to, speak about the work that we do, the entire thing, because it relates so much together. And as Sunita said, we do straddle a whole range of interventions. We do not just intervene into one area. As an organization, it has been from rights to, education awareness, and then primary education and livelihood. So this is really a very challenging thing to do, but we have been doing it for the last so many years. And uh, um, I will just talk about that because women have been very much a part of it. The area where we work is called KBK. So this is Orissa, and this is the KBK area where we work, and this tribal district in Mayurganj. But much of our work is concentrated in this area. And KBK is known nationally as one of the most underdeveloped regions of India. And some of the studies, especially UNICEF studies, report that the conditions here of the children, the malnutrition is so bad, it's almost like, Sahara, the conditions in Sahel and Sahara. So we've been working here for the last 30 years. And women, our focus has been very much on women, because we find that women are very much a backbone of this community. And if I will dive straight away into their role in, as far as nature, nurture, and so climate change go. If you look at climate change and the modernization that is happening everywhere, agriculture and industrialization, we see that women have played right from the beginning a role which counters this. So they have actually, I don't know if these things are, yeah. So they have played a major role in protecting their indigenous crop varieties, which include, millets, pulses, oil seeds, and also a whole range of forest species, which play a very crucial role in countering climate change. Because these are things that can actually withstand, wide variations in climate. Many of the varieties the women have protected in millets are actually quite drought resistant. And we have been actually studying this for many years. And the number of varieties is just amazing. And each variety has a name, like if you talk of fingered millet, fingered millet is known as ragi in Hindi and mandya in Odia. And if you just look at fingered millet, broadly, what the mainstream says is there is the long variety of long duration fingered millet and then the short duration of fingered millet. But if you talk to the women, and in just one session, we were able to identify something like 25 different varieties of finger millet with different names. And I was wondering if these varieties are just, the local names. But, across the regions which I pointed out, these several districts, the finger millet varieties and descriptions are absolutely identical. And women have developed the methods of preserving these so that they don't get affected by pests and can be used year in, year out. And the second thing that women have a major role as far as crop varieties is concerned is what are the crop combinations. Tribal communities very rarely in the indigenous methods they use, they don't single crop. They do multi-cropping, and it is the women who decide which are the combinations of crops and which are the varieties which will be planted in the different areas. And the preservation is completely theirs. So the major role that they play is in protecting crop varieties. Then the wild foods. It's really amazing the kind of skills women have in spotting wild foods. It'll be a dense forest and they can spot the thinnest vine which has grown and indicates that there is a huge harvest of tubers below the ground. It's something which we could which I was never able to do, however much I went out with them. And they know, of course, how these tubers are to be preserved in the wild and also in their own backyard. So they go for wild collection of wild tubers, as well as also plant and grow it in their own backyards, increasing the family's access. They also harvest or go for gathering, foraging and gathering all the livelihood needs like food, fodder and firewood. Everything is accessed by the women, and they know exactly how to nurture their forests and the commons so that these livelihoods can be met, because their well-being depends on having not too difficult access to these regions, to their commons and to the common forest lands. I'm not able to go to the next screen. Yeah. So this is some of the things. This is a woman leader called Shukri Maji from Raigada district. She's one of the most vibrant people, and she's showing us some of the tubers which she has located and is in the process of digging it out. On the extreme right is Mangai Jani, and this is her garden, which she has filled with tubers. This is her. This is one wild tuber, and all along these areas you can see, these are tuber crops which is got variously. This is of course colocasia, which is got locally, but on the other side are tuber crops along the borders of the land that she has. So these are some of the wonderful tribal women that we actually very often learn very much from. And the important thing that we need to note about tribal women is that they have a negative carbon footprint. They use almost no fossil fuels for almost any of the energy needs in the household. And all of them are met, I would not say manually, but women annually, which means that the women do much of the work. It's not that the men don't do work in this community, but much of the energy needs for the running of the household is met by women. The water is in the stream, and it is their effort that gets the water to the household. Firewood, agriculture work from morning to dusk. They are engaged in agriculture work, transportation, and a whole range of things. These are just the very least that they do. Then care and nurture of livestock. For food, transport, building up soil fertility, everything is taken care of the women, though it is the men who use the plow. conservation and recycling, and nurture. Women are, I don't know, the tribal women are almost congenitally uh, conservationists. They conserve everything. Then their actions also, and their deep knowledge of the ecosystem is just amazing. From little creatures like crabs and fish. You know, when they catch the crabs, there are times when they go for catching of the crabs, and there are times when they do not go to, you know, fish or catch crabs. Periods of the year, periods of the day, and that is because they know what are their breeding season, when they will kill the, you know, the hatchlings, the and things like that, when they will destroy it rather than catching them, things like that. So their knowledge of the ecosystem is immense and deep, because they've lived it for so many centuries. And despite all this, they are the victim of almost all cause and effect of climate change. I say all cause and effect of climate change because the things that are causing climate change also affect the tribal women a lot. So wherever there is, you know, infrastructural and industrial development projects and extractive industries, women are the first victims in so many ways. I won't go into that because it's really a vast and sad area, which I think most of us would know about. Then when there is agricultural modernization, women are displaced and disempowered because, as I said, they preserve the seeds. But when there's a modernization, at least in India, their role is completely marginalized. And they're pushed into a cash economy in which, you know, the nutritional levels of the entire family goes down. And since women are, you know, the major, you know, community who are responsible for the nutrition of the family, they take on the responsibility. They are very deeply affected in so many ways. Then changing patterns of rainfall, crop loss, everything affects them a lot. It affects the entire community, and women suffer even more. The ecosystem degradation, when the ecosystem degradation is there, then all the foraging elements like food, fodder, firewood become so much more difficult to access. So this affects them tremendously. And as you know, in India, as the country progresses towards, you know, modern agriculture, more industries, more technology, urbanization, the women in the villages have to work much harder and longer for less and less returns. And the whole issue of feminization of agriculture looms in front of us. That things like agriculture, which engage, you know, like you know, almost 3/4 of the Indian population, women have to do more work in agriculture, but the returns are less because the labor market in which they are pushed into is a biased market. So that is a serious concern. So whatever happens, women are, you know, protecting the environment, protecting biodiversity, all the things which are so important to counter the environmental degradation that is going on today. But we see that they're victimized the maximum. And we need to question ourselves on this. But Agragami has been working intensely with the tribal communities to really, you know, counter some of the things. It was, as I said, Agragami didn't exactly start with climate change. We looked at, you know, human rights of women's, human rights of tribal communities. And we started working on, you know, rights, health, and climate literacy and leadership development. Initially, we didn't say just women's leadership, but when we saw the strength of women, then we went deeply into women's leadership development. As a result of, yeah, that was one of the areas. I'll go into a little bit more detail later on. Then we also saw that one of the major constraints for women to really take things forward. Tribal communities are a patriarchal community, and there is a complex set of reasons why girls are not educated, why tribal areas are also largely illiterate. So we also went into education, then natural resources and livelihood development. One of the things that is very much essential in the areas where we work, where there are huge dam projects, mega dam projects and things coming up. So, and industries, extractive mines, etc., coming up, is we felt the need after experiencing these to help the tribal people establish the alternative, because these are coming up with the slogan of TINA, there is no alternative to mines, dams, industries, etc. And so we felt it very much essential that we help tribal people establish the alternative and make it more visible. Entrepreneurship, so that they could, make their presence in the market. And then we've also always worked with the government right from the beginning. So, so rights, literacy, and leadership. This is one of the areas where we've done a lot of work. I won't go into the details of how we have worked, but we have been able to, we have had training programs with women, village level meetings. This is a village level meeting with the entire community, women and men. And we've also done very specific training program, which has led to the creation of very wonderful women leaders. This is Sumani Ma. She's President of India Awadi. This is Sunday. Sunday hasn't received any awards, but that doesn't mean she's any less. It's just that some people work without being seen, but they are strong, powerful women who fought elections and won them at times, and not been able to win them also, but they lead the women. And this is Shukri here, who I spoke about earlier. She's talking with a deputy collector about rights to, their forest rights, and against liquor, liquor brewing, which the government was licensing at the time. So we've been able to do something with women's leadership with all our efforts. Then we've also worked deeply in education and with focus on girls' education. So our methods are, to encourage children to do on their own and learn. This is two of our little girls planting trees. They're doing it on their own, but we have been able to encourage them to take up tree planting. We are very happy with that. This is this is schools are not able to teach children literacy. So we focused a lot on literacy and language development with special methods developed. These are some of the TLM we use for language literacy. Some of the outcomes are this, that children write their own annual report. These are the authors of our annual report, which was published last year and the previous year, the annual report of Agragami students. And you can see their writing here. This is the writing in their mother tongue, and this is a translation. So we are really happy that at least we are able to counter the illiteracy that is really holding back. We have wonderful women leaders, but because of illiteracy, there is a certain limit to what they can do. So this is another effort. Then we do a lot on natural resource and livelihood development through training. A whole range of training programs are there. And this is our efforts in livelihood development. These are development of family farms. So the women and the men are encouraged to take up, alternate methods of cultivation, which is, strong hedgerows and fences and integrated with perennial and seasonal crops, so that the soil is much better utilized. And these are some of the training programs on, organic farming. And these are the plantations which integrated farming systems which we encourage people to develop. And this is the biodiversity conservation that we are actually telling women to really put in much more effort to do that. So here women have their own indigenous seeds. This is finger millet, this is foxtail millet, and then they also have barnyard millet. So they are conserving these varieties, and you can see one of the traditional methods of conservation, this is seed conservation, is to actually tie them within their house, and it is in the much of it is in the kitchen where the hearth is there, not right above the hearth, but in the same room, so that the pests are not there. You know, the heat and the dryness keeps the pest away. And this is a seed cum grain bank, which is being built up by the common collection of seeds and grain by the women. So these are some of the efforts. And then we also have women, learn ecological farming, because one of the things that happens in those upland, hilly upland areas where the tribal communities live is the land is very easily eroded. So, ecological farming begins with zero tillage, where the soil is not disturbed and doesn't get washed away. Otherwise, the tribals have to practice shifting cultivation. So these are methods where they do their own cropping. Of course, here they're being shown how to grow some of the vegetables. But we have also helped them do their own crops, millets and pulses with, conservation agriculture. And it's completely organic conservation agriculture. So these are the methods and efforts that we do to develop, to help women counter the tremendous, disadvantages they face. And the tribal communities, but the women are, at a much higher receiving end. We also have a lot of interface with the government through state level interactions, linkages for conservation of traditional crops, collaboration for millet mission. These are Government of Odisha, Government of India programs in which we have a lot of collaboration. Then we also have, these are some of the programs where we are collaborating with the government. This is Millet Mission, where there's a promotion of, recipes which can be used for millets. This is slogans about millet farming. And these are millet processing technology which is being provided by the government to women's groups, so that they can, with less effort, they can have, process their grains. So these are some of the collaborations we are doing. These are some of the interface meetings we are having with the government. This is a state level organic farmers meeting in which the government also had a discussion with the farmers. And these are exposure visits to other organizations which are into organic farming, farmer exposure visits. And what is the impact? So some of the impact we are really proud of is that women, these have become master trainers. Sorry, I just want to go back. Yeah. So these two women are master trainers now, and they're explaining to this community of women how to do ecological farming. So we are really proud of our, efforts helping women to become trainers. So that is one of the tangible impacts we have had. The other thing is that women are taking up, farming, organic farming, and going back to conserving their indigenous varieties. So this is mostly finger millet, but we have women also doing other varieties of millets, and the production has gone up because they're using better technologies, and it's completely organic production. And the way women have really taken it up is quite amazing. And this is Sumani. who's actually speaking out in a food festival, millet food festival, on how they can improve their production of millets. So we are really happy to, that women are able to, even hold forth in meetings and training programs and give demonstration. I think that is one of the best achievements that we have had. And here again, women, this is a what is called a self-help group in India. And they have cultivated together 20 acres of, finger millet in one of the upland areas. And that is a huge achievement, because this area had been growing millet about 30 years back, and they're not able to, they had almost forgotten the crop, but it has been reintroduced. This example also shows the exchange of knowledge and seed bank between districts, because these women have been able to get the seeds with a little support from us. From this is Fulbani district, and these women have got the seed back from Koraput and Raigada district. Even though they had finger millet 30 years back, they had lost their the varieties. So now they've been able to go back, and this is a second crop after they preserved their seeds on their own from the first crop. So this is really an amazing success as far as we are concerned. So these are some of the things. These people are growing sorghum, and this is with zero tillage. Again, these are our master trainers, these two women, who are able to, really not only grow it on their own, but they're able to provide training to other farmers, women farmers and male farmers, on how to grow millet crops. So these are some of the things where we are really happy about, that we have been able to make an impact and start a process of change. If women can talk about these processes themselves, then I think we can go forward. But really counter some of the impact of modernization and the causes of climate change. There are many issues that we still need to think about. How do we learn from indigenous women? Now, there are many things in books, but indigenous women have been transmitting their knowledge through word of mouth and through practice. As much as word of mouth is there, it is not even just word of mouth. It is a community of practice. The woman does it, her daughter does it, and then when they get married, they transmit it to the families they go to. So this kind of transmitting, how can we institutionalize it or record it? What would we lose, in doing this institutionalization? Because even the current programs of education, schooling that we have in India, I really feel that if you put women through school, the current programs of schooling, then they would, somehow lose some of the deep knowledge that they have. And there are so many reasons, I'm sure many of you can see. So it is very essential that we keep alive the resources and knowledge systems. But still, education is a huge question mark, because without even basic literacy and numeracy, these women will not be able to counter the forces that are really going against them and against the climate. And the other major question we really need to ask is, what about repaying the debt that we owe to the indigenous communities and much more to indigenous women? And the debt is complex. I mean, what they have given to the world is knowledge, energy, communities of practice, so much. How do we do it? Because if we don't think about these things, we will lose this knowledge base. We will lose this community of wonderful, beautiful women who are really, provide us a way out, a beacon of light that they hold to us, that will very soon go, because the women are fragile. And that's another issue I can talk about, the fragility of indigenous people in our country. The women are fragile, their knowledge system is not recorded, and there is such a whole lot of issues. So I will stop with that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Thanks.
Thank you, Vidhya. That was incredibly rich and actually really inspiring to see what women are doing. They're resilient, they're entrepreneurial, they are engaging and embracing really difficult circumstances with real sort of energy to achieve. And we've got a few minutes for questions, so I'm just going to open it out and see if anybody's got any questions that they'd like to ask you.
And Vidhya, that was absolutely incredible. I'm so happy we were recording. And Sunny, there's a question in the chat.
I can't see it. Where are we? Oh, Holly. Holly, would you like to pop on your microphone and ask the question?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, Holly.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of banging here at the moment. We seem to have construction going on in our house. So the question I really wanted to ask, Vidhya, I really was enjoying your presentation. In fact, if I'm right, it's in Chennai. I missed the beginning part of your presentation.
Yeah, I'm in Chennai now.
Yes. So I had the fortune, but it's now a while ago, about 15 years ago, in fact, I was in Chennai visiting self-help groups in various villages and seeing some of the sort of micro enterprises going on. And I was really impressed. In fact, we took that knowledge. I was working with an NGO in Afghanistan, and we took this idea of self-help groups and started self-help groups in northern Afghanistan as a result of what we saw in Chennai. What I wanted to ask you today was really about men's attitudes related to women's changing roles and what you're seeing over the years in terms of those sort of tangible changes and shifts, particularly related to traditional gender roles and responsibilities.
Yeah, actually, where we work, women and men have, their well-defined roles. And whatever interventions we took up with women was to help them understand the socio-economic milieu of their situation, which is so much of, lack of exclusion from, so much of development intervention that the government is doing, exclusion from education, then, exploitation and all that. And then work with them on trying to understand what are the processes they can have to overcome these. So the traditional roles, we didn't address that. Men, women roles, we didn't address. We didn't also touch upon, gender differences within the community. We did to some extent in, why you're not getting education, things like that. And the issues of alcohol, the women themselves touched, the differences, different attitudes towards alcohol, which was very obvious in the tribal areas. The women were really in despair. And in fact, in the first conversation that the women had with the Chief Minister of Orissa almost 25 years back, that was Biju Patnaik, not the current minister, or more than 25 years back, was that one of the women said, if you don't change the liquor policy of that you have in your government, I will commit suicide. So they were so badly off. And actually, that was when I realized how crucial it was to really tackle the liquor issue. But apart from these things, women have played a role in addressing the entire, oppression and exclusion of the community as a whole. And initially, when women started going out to, attend training programs or meetings and things, there were some forms of resistance. There are many stories I can tell you of about Sumani herself. I showed you Sumani right in the beginning. Yeah, but eventually, when the men saw that what the women are taking up are issues which affects them a lot, like wage labor rights to, the minimum wages, right to land, right to their forest resources. Then the men joined. It was, the women spoke out and they, questioned the government people and carried the dialogue. But the men were right behind them and with them. Wherever needed, they were with them also. So, but even in the anti-liquor movement that the women took up, the men were very much with them because they saw what was happening because of, it's called bhatti. A liquor bhatti means these are called Indian-made foreign liquor. So the brewery is licensed within the, panchayat, and they see very fast what is happening to the community because of the push selling of the liquor by the liquor brewery owners. So they also supported. Yeah.
Thank you for that. We've got time for just one more question because there's been, yes, sorry, Vidhya, but there's been lots of comments in the chat about how fascinating and fantastic your presentation was, and also the pictures that really brought it to life. Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment or ask a question? No, we're all good. No, well, Vidhya, that was. Oh, sorry. I had this feeling, Vanessa, that you would pipe up and say something. And
well, I just wanted to say thank you for such a thorough and broad and just multifaceted and really fascinating set of examples of the practicalities of what you do. And I too, really I'm delighted to hear that, that people can come and visit and take ideas away with them and share those elsewhere, because this is just such wonderful work. And thank you so much for sharing it with us so generously.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. And I think just to sort of endorse what Vanessa's just said, in moments, we were talking yesterday when we began the conference, Vidhya, that the landscape of human rights, particularly when it comes to climate and women, can feel so bleak in some of the global phenomena and crises that we're seeing. And what you've given us is a real sense of resilience and hope and energy to that fight against those injustices and crises that women are at the forefront of. So we are really grateful for you giving us those lights of hope and showing us that there's some excellent work that is being done, and there is and that archiving of that knowledge that those women have going forward is going to be really important. And Vidhya, I know that we'll be connecting again and talking about this, but from all of us, thank you for sharing your
just one line I would like to say. It's still bleak. It's still terribly, worrisome. As I said, we need to question and look at it very, very deeply, because these women with so much, and any of you can come and meet them, and they have so much resources and, spirit in them still. So it's still bleak, because development projects, the corporate sector, the MNCs are all around and gnawing away at so many levels, and government policies are, very much for them. And it's like that in every country. So we really need to ponder deeply. Yeah.
No, absolutely, couldn't agree more. I think what you've shown us though with it is bleak, but there are women there on the ground that are still fighting the fight, and that's certainly one of the messages that we want to get across as part of our engagement in this conference, that the fight is still a long way to go and we need to be collectively working on that together. But let's not also celebrate the good work that happens, because often when we see things in such a sort of bleak lens, we forget that there are incredible individuals like yourself and the women that you work with that are actually doing fantastic work that creates that change for the next generation and the next 7 generations ahead. So once again, thank you so much, and please feel free to stay or to go. And I know Ashut's here as well, so best wishes to you all and to the Agrigami family. Our next panel begins in about 10 minutes, so we're just going to have a short break for 10 minutes so people can stretch their legs and have a little think or grab tea. But we'll resume in about 10 minutes time. But Vidhya, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity and the interest in my presentation. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.